Growing up in a world of chaos and pain that is childhood trauma can leave deep scars on your heart, mind, and in your body. These scars can weave themselves deeply into the fabric of your being, sabotaging your present efforts to connect with others, build friendships, and even build lasting romantic relationship with a partner due to things we learned in childhood. Our trauma responses, attachment styles, and learned dysfunctional modes of operating and behavior, as well as our language, the way we interpret, and even the way we communicate are impacted. These experiences also have a detrimental effect on the way you physically carry yourself, your posture and mobility, creating pain and dysfunction in the body. Because our fascia holds on to our memories and experiences, that trauma trapped in the body can affect the way we approach people, how we socialize, and how well we are able to or unable to hold space in conversation with other people and relate, especially in the presence of big emotions. So if you feel like your past is sabotaging your present relationships, making it hard to connect, trust, or feel truly loved, you're not alone. In this video, we are going to explore the profound impact of childhood trauma on adult relationships and our physical bodies, plus some practical steps at the end that you can take to heal in your own life. Hello, my name is Kelly. I am a muscular therapist, holistic health practitioner, and somatic educator. I've created this channel to teach you about your beautiful body and give you empowering tools to heal so you can change your life. I teach you how to take care of your body, correct your posture, and let go of your baggage so you can keep your mobility, live a high quality life, and be free of unnecessary pain. Understanding our relationships is an integral part of this broader mission. By diving into the emotional, physical, and spiritual impacts of toxicity, we can uncover layers of tension and trauma that can manifest in the body. If this sounds like something you'd like to know more about, then please subscribe to my channel for more content just like this. All right. Let's dive in. Let me start by saying I am not a psychologist and I am not your psychologist. I am sharing this information based on my own personal experiences. As someone with an ACEs score of 7, I experienced some pretty significant childhood trauma and abuse. If you don't know what ACEs are, it stands for Adverse Childhood Experience Score, and you can score from 0 to 10. The higher the number, the greater your chances are to develop health problems like obesity, drug or alcohol addiction, cancer, to be in relationships where there's domestic violence, and even chronic stress. It took a long time to heal. A ton of body work, relational therapies, consistent practice, patience, oh my, so much patience, forgiveness, and a lot of prayer. I've come out the other side and I want to share what I've learned. Childhood trauma can deeply affect our ability to form and maintain healthy relationships. The lessons we learn in our formative years shape our understanding of love, trust, and communication. When those early lessons are tainted by trauma, they can lead to a range of challenges in our adult relationships. Fight, flight, freeze, and fawn. These are the 4 primary trauma responses. In relationships, they can manifest as aggressive outbursts, which is fight, withdrawing or avoiding, which is flight, shutting down emotionally, becoming numb, that's freeze, or excessively pleasing others at the expense of our own needs. and that's fun. These responses can disrupt the balance of power and intimacy in relationships. There's secure, anxious, avoidant, and disorganized, which is a bit of both anxious and avoidant. Our attachment style, formed in childhood, affects how we relate to others. A secure attachment leads to healthier relationships, while anxious or avoidant attachments can create a cycle of fear and insecurity. Disorganized attachment, which is often a result of severe trauma, can lead to erratic and unpredictable relationship patterns. And this is where you kind of oscillate between anxious and avoidant. Behaviors that helped us survive in a traumatic environment, such as hypervigilance or people-pleasing, can become maladaptive in adult relationships. These behaviors can lead to misunderstandings and conflicts, as well as an inability to set healthy boundaries. And if you have a background like this, I know that you understand that it can be so difficult to set healthy boundaries and then keep them. Trauma can skew our perception and interpretation of others' words and actions. We might read hostility into neutral statements or assume negative intentions where there are none. This can create a lot of problems. This miscommunication can strain our relationships and lead to unnecessary conflicts. Trauma doesn't just affect our minds and emotions, it can also leave a lasting imprint on our bodies. The way we carry ourselves, our posture, and our physical health can all be influenced by our past experiences. It's held in your posture and your fascia. Our bodies often reflect our emotional states. Trauma can lead to chronic tension, poor posture, and a tendency to hold ourselves in protective stances. Our fascia, the connective tissue that surrounds literally everything in your body, surrounds your muscles, your organs, your brain, your skeleton, it can store memories and trauma, which leads to physical pain and stiffness. And then we have our nervous system regulation, both hyperarousal and hypoarousal. Trauma can dysregulate our nervous system, causing us to be in a constant state of hyperarousal, which is fight or flight, or hypoarousal, which is freeze. This dysregulation can affect our ability to connect with others, making us either overly reactive or emotionally numb in social situations. Trauma can make social interactions challenging, as some of you might already know. We might avoid close relationships out of fear of being hurt or become overly dependent on others for validation. This push-pull dynamic can strain relationships and hinder genuine connection. Trauma can impact our ability to hold space for others, especially in the presence of big emotions. We might find it difficult to stay present, actively listen, empathize, or respond appropriately, leading to misunderstandings and emotional disconnect. Healing from childhood trauma is a journey, but it's possible to rebuild and strengthen your relationships through mindfulness practice and self-awareness. And that one is probably the hardest step for most people. But here are some steps you can take. Seek support through therapy and support groups. Surround yourself with a supportive community, a 12-step program like ACOA and Al-Anon, or seek professional help from therapists who specialize in trauma-specific care. You don't have to navigate this journey alone. For me, one of the most helpful parts of therapy and 12-step support groups was being around others who actually understood what I had been through and knew what it was like. I can't tell you how healing it is to be around people that get you because they've gone through something similar. The other part to that was actually taking the time to evaluate my denial. When you spend your life minimizing what you went through, like I did, when I'd say every family's dysfunctional and people have it worse, Does that sound familiar? It minimized what I went through, and it was in itself a form of self-abuse and self-abandonment. You must acknowledge your past with honesty and truth. And you must also grieve the loss of what you didn't get to have, the childhood you should have received. These steps are absolutely necessary in order for you to even begin to heal. Trying to skip over them doesn't work. Ignoring them doesn't work. Stuffing the feelings down doesn't work. All that does is lead to the explosion, the eruption later that shows up in conflicts and the ongoing cycle of relationship problems you already deal with. Yes, they are related. This step in particular, the grieving process, is an ongoing step, one that you will need to return to over and over again. Maybe indefinitely, but hopefully not, and hopefully less frequently. Sometimes I find myself still sad about some of these things, and it's okay. Practice self-compassion and be gentle with yourself. Healing takes time, and it's okay to have setbacks. Treat yourself with the same kindness and understanding you would offer to a loved one. This one is sneaky because it sounds easy, but it is not. You've been conditioned to self-abandon and self-abuse, and then feel guilty about it too. So awareness of this guilt is the first step. Accept the feelings of guilt, forgive yourself, and then let it go. The more you do this process, the less it will hurt when you slip up, the quicker you will be to forgive yourself, and the less often it will happen. Baby steps. Okay, remember? Baby steps. Set boundaries and recognize toxic dynamics. Learn to recognize toxic dynamics in your relationships and establish healthy boundaries to protect your emotional well-being. You deserve to be treated with respect and dignity. If you're unsure how to tell whether or not you have toxic relationships in your life, I've actually created a video that covers some of the telltale signs of toxic love in a video that I will link on the screen here somewhere and in the description box below, so you can watch that next. Take the time to educate yourself about trauma responses, attachment styles, and their effects on relationships. Knowledge is power, and understanding the dynamics at play can help you navigate them more effectively. You've started with this video, and that's great. Some books I also highly recommend, there's two, is It Didn't Start With You by Mark Woolen and Facing Codependence by Pia Melody. This one talks about inherited family trauma and how it shapes who we are and how to end the cycle. So he really dives deep into generational trauma, how that is actually the process for how that's passed down through generations in the womb. It's just really, really interesting. But this is one of those books that you have to read in chunks. I went through this and read piece by piece and kind of just sat with it to digest it. I recommend that you do the same because it's a lot to take in. And then Facing Codependence by Pia Melody is also really great. I think we sort of have a general idea, most of us, about what codependency can look like in terms of romantic relationship, but in her book she really covers the habits that kind of show up as trauma responses and just what that looks like in a day-to-day life, how you sort of express yourself, which I found really enlightening and really interesting as well. Engage in somatic practices that help you reconnect with your body and release stored trauma. Techniques like deep breathing into the belly, progressive muscle relaxation where you start at maybe your toes and you tense up and then you release and melt and work your way up. Really helpful and it feels really good. And mindful movements can help you regulate your nervous system and improve your overall well-being. If you're interested in learning some different somatic practices and tools, I will link a playlist to some different videos I've made here somewhere on the screen and in the description box down below for your reference. Childhood trauma can cast a long shadow over our adult lives, but with awareness, compassion, and intentional effort, it's possible to heal and cultivate healthy, fulfilling relationships. Remember, your pain is valid, your experiences are real, and you deserve to be treated with dignity and respect. If you found this discussion helpful, you can watch this video next. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.